Philanthropy is commendable, but it must not cause the philanthropist to overlook the circumstances of economic injustice which make philanthropy necessary. And that is a quote by Brother Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joe Paul, proudly serving Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated as the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer. I am excited about our conversation tonight. We're talking about giving back. We're delighted to have you as you join us while we converse about philanthropy. I'm pleased to welcome our Chief Development Officer, one of the hardest working brothers in the fraternity, Brother Gerald K. Johnson II. Brother Johnson, come on. How's it going, my brother?
How you doing there, brother?
Hanging in there. Actually, you know what? I'm not hanging in there. I'm holding on. Because if you're hanging in there, you might fall off. So I'm holding on, brother. I'm holding on.
There we go, Brother Paul. Thank you for inviting me to the conversation tonight. I'm excited to dive in.
It's going to be a great conversation. I mean, we have a guest speaker who's out of this world, Brother Ramsey. We'll bring him up shortly. I wanted to make sure that you and I had a chance to converse and tell the people about this exciting evening because Give Six launches today. I mean, it's we're just actually putting a ribbon on a lot of the things that we've been doing before. All of our national programs, et cetera. All we've done is package it and make it palatable so brothers can actually jump in and give back. So, Brother Johnson, anything to say about development before we bring Brother Ramsey onto the call?
I do want to say, Brother Paul, thank you for bringing me on the call. And brothers, I'm excited to serve as our Chief Development Officer for our beloved fraternity. We have a lot of great things planned for the fraternity for this upcoming year. And I do want to remind brothers, I'm sure Brother Paul will throughout the call, to definitely be sure to pay your dues. Come back to the house, brothers. We need you. We need your ideas. We need your time. We need your talent. Of course, brothers, we need your treasure as well, if that may be. I'm going to make myself available to the brothers at all time, and I'll begin to talk about them more so when we get into the Give Six later on. Thank you, Brother Paul.
He's my brother, and he is not well, he's kind of heavy, but not all the time. I know. He's my brother. He's not heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, I wanted to say a little bit about our guest speaker this evening. Brother Andre Ramsey is an attorney with the Cochran firm in Atlanta, where he joined in 2016. He previously worked as an associate attorney at a fast-paced North Atlanta firm specializing in practice areas of workers' comp, personal injury, and Social Security disability. Brother Ramsey aggressively represents many injured workers in acquiring all income and medical benefits available to them to the full extent of the law. Brother Ramsey earned his bachelor's degree in management information studies with a minor in business administration from FSU. As an undergrad student, Brother Ramsey was one of 16 students chosen from 23 states for the FSU College of Law National Summer Law Program. As you can tell, he is an alpha man. Brother Ramsey later earned his JD from Atlanta's John Marshall Law School. And while in law school, Brother Ramsey competed in the American Bar Association's client interviewing and counseling competition, where he placed in the national top 6, which is virtually impossible, y'all, after winning the regional competition. Brother Ramsey also founded the Caribbean Law Students Association, so shout out to all of our Caribbean brothers. He was also a Student Bar Association class representative and a pretrial Cali Award recipient. Brother Ramsey also clerked for a well-known national law firm where he had the opportunity to work directly under former Georgia Workers' Compensation Administrative Law Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present to you Brother Ramsey.
Such a great intro. I appreciate it, brother.
You bet, brother. It's so great to hear from you. It's so great to see you. I'm excited about this conversation. I know Brother Johnson's excited about this conversation, and you're one of the busiest people we know. So, Brother Ramsey, thank you for giving your time to share with our brothers about what they can do to give back and the importance of philanthropy. So thank you so much.
I'm too busy for Alpha, so I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, brother.
06, my brother, 06. So, Brother Ramsey, we respect your time, and we know everybody's here to hear you speak. So let's get started with the first question. Brother Johnson will ask you a question, and I'll go back and ask you a question, and we'll tag team this thing until we run out of questions to ask, my brother.
All right.
Are you okay with
ready.
that? There we go. Brother Johnson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Brother Paul. And Brother Ramsey, again, thank you for joining us this evening. We're excited to hear about philanthropy from your perspective and definitely to give us some gems here. So the first question I think is a good one to start us off is, what inspired your first gift? And can you tell us about that process for you?
My first gift, I think, is what many people's first gift is. It's something that they're passionate about or something that they're committed to or connected to. So it has to be something, maybe something that historically or your family wise or your culture wise that you feel like you're connected to and you want to support. So my first gift was actually during the Haiti earthquakes. When they happened, I felt like I needed to do something. As Brother Paul mentioned earlier, I have an affinity to the Caribbean, meaning that I'm Jamaican myself. So when I saw something horrible and tragic happening to a country just like mine, and that affected some of my line brothers are Haitian, I felt like I needed to do something. So that was my first gift that I can recall that I gave to freely. But the issue I would say with that, and it's something we'll kind of discuss later, is how you give makes a difference. When you give something or you try to support something through means that are already existing, it may not go to the people that you want it to go to, and it may not affect the change that you're looking for. And I think a problem with that is a lot of people get discouraged because they don't believe that what they do makes a difference.
And you're absolutely right, Brother Ramsey, because some people think, as Brother General President was saying earlier, some people think that you need just a boatload of money to give back. Some people think that you need X, Y, when in fact you don't need those things, which is a great segue into our next question, which is, we talk about time, we talk about talent, we talk about treasure. You've mastered giving all three of those. Tell us about your journey through those phases. I mean, how did you go from giving your time and then giving your talent, and now you're giving your treasure?
Well, I don't think anyone masters it. I think it's a work in progress, right? Because the world is changing. So the way you gave before may not be the same as how you give now. Certainly, the things that you may think of that you want to do to affect change has kind of changed, depending on kind of what's really hot right now in terms of what is the pressing button right now. It's obviously, police discrimination, race wars and things of that nature that people want to give to. Black Lives Matter, of course. So I think everything really started with me early. It was real simple. I didn't have any money, right? So it's easy when you don't have any money to say, well, I can't give money, but I have my time and I have my talent. So what Alpha taught me earlier on was to get out there. We used to do, becoming a man mentors, where we gave our time, we gave our talents to try to help the youth, to try to open up the door, try to be a mentor of sorts to show the younger youth, Black youth especially, that there are, avenues that are available to them if they just really gave their time and their efforts. So I learned earlier on really more so of a community, like a community service kind of standpoint versus a philanthropy. I used to see, some other organizations on campus, and they would just raise money, right? And I used to kind of look at it with a different eye, because I said, well, it's easy to just raise money. You're just giving money. Why don't you give your time and give your talent? But I think, what I've learned now with having some success is saying, look, it requires all of them. It requires both community service and it requires philanthropy. Because, as much as your talent is, as much as your time is valuable to you, what is more valuable to some communities and more valuable to some organizations is the fact that they can have the financial means to affect change. So it does require the money. So you do need that. I think as I grew as a young man, and as I saw kind of what needs to be done on the ground level, I realized that your money is very important. It's important to you, certainly, but it's really important to the causes that you're trying to change, the causes that you're trying to have some effect with. So that's why, and I think we'll kind of go into it a little bit later, is, you want to make sure that the money that you work so hard for is going to the actual cause that you want to support. You're making sure that you're supporting the organization that lock up with your ideals and kind of what it is you want to affect. Because you certainly can't do it alone. You may have a lot of ideas, but your capital may not do everything. But certainly if you line up with 1,000 people that think the same way you do, and you're aligning your money together and you're aligning your causes together, then I think you can affect it.
Thank you, brother. I think this next question is a great transition into that, as far as whenever you talk about that time and that talent, that treasure, and really finding those causes that you're passionate about. talk to us a little bit about those causes that you're passionate about, and as far as giving to, especially in a time that we're now with so much going on. I'm sure everyone's asking for money in all different directions. We're asking for money for fraternity today. So let's talk more about that.
Well, I think it's twofold for me. The first thing that comes to mind that I'm really, really passionate about is a sickle cell foundation that I've started, and of course I'm working I'm working in tandem with the other organizations to try to affect some change regarding sickle cell. The thing about sickle cell that people don't know is 93% of the patients of sickle cell are African American or Indian. So that's, so the problem with that inherently is it's very little funding behind it because it doesn't affect other people that may want to provide some money. And the thing is, as we've talked about things before with race and this and that, until other people who are unaffected are outraged, you're just not going to get the change that you need. So my personal thing is really sickle cell. And that's really because of the fact that, my youngest son suffers from the disease. So I have a personal attachment to it. And like I said before, I think, anything that you're going to give your money to, you have to have some type of personal attachment to. The other thing I'm funding now and things that's important to me that's not really personal is really my community. My community needs my money. My community needs my time, and my community needs my talent in order to try to affect some things. We are sick and tired of having people that look like us being affected the way that we are and not being appreciated, not being respected, certainly not being valued. So there are some political things going on that's trying to affect change. So I'm putting money towards that. And certainly with the coronavirus, there are people that need our help. So I'm trying to, help people take care of their things on a daily basis to try to get them to where they need to be, to try to get on the other side of this thing.
Brother Ramsey, I mean, what you do is God's work. I have to tell you, it's not too many people who believe in giving back, number one. And those who do believe in giving back typically stop at the time and the talent. They never get to the treasure, right? They stop at the time, and then they're like, oh, this is going to take too much time. Or the talent, which is, this is going to take too much of my time. Then they never actually get to the treasure part. So kudos to you, my brother. It really is. So question for you. Okay. Now, you are an accomplished attorney. And what do you love about what you do?
I just, man, I know I keep saying the same word, but it's all about passion. Being an attorney puts me in a position where I can affect a lot of change, a lot of different ways. It's never been a situation where it's been about the money. It's always been a situation where I can do the most on the ground, right? I can decide to take a case and not get paid for it and be okay. I can, represent the people that need representation, that are underrepresented, that need people that look like them a lot of times to try to help them because, certainly we understand their plight and we understand their position and we want to be in a position to help them. So I'm able to help people that maybe wouldn't be able to be helped before. And certainly, thank God with some of the success that I've had, I'm in a position to financially help those and, have things like, I didn't know growing up, what is a foundation? What does that mean? What is a nonprofit? What does that mean? But you're in a position now you can learn about these things to try to put your money where your mouth is.
Thank you, Brother Ramsey. I think you make a lot of great points as far as really doing that background research on where your money is going, really trying to make that impact very tangible. And kind of going into this next question as far as understanding what a gift really means and kind of what it means to you as far as what was the best gift you've ever gave and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the biggest or best gift that I've given, I haven't given it yet. And that's the reason I say that is I'm just not done. And as long as, God allows me to be on this earth every day, I think I need to continue to give. I think the best gift you can is to commit yourself to continue to give. Commit yourself that you can say, this is my cause. This is what I'm passionate about. This is, and here's the other thing too, and it doesn't have to necessarily be something you're passionate about. It could be something that you learn about that there's a need there. I think basically what is important is finding a need and filling it, and fill it to a point where you feel that you can fill it some more, or where you can get other people to help fill it up. Because there are millions of causes on this earth that you can find, right? Everybody has great ideas. Everybody has a need, but you have to find something that you're attached to, and something that if it doesn't go well, right? If it doesn't go right, if it doesn't go the way you anticipate it going, are you still going to believe in the cause, right? So if you take the money away, do you believe in the cause? That's the first thing. And if you believe in the cause, then I think the money flows easily. It attaches to that easily. So that's where you start.
And brother, you are speaking poetic, as they say. So,
About that.
no, well, it's great. I mean, no, look, you're keeping it as real as possible, Brother Ramsey. I mean, it can't be overstated the impact that you have on the community, local and nation. And so what I wanted to do was I want to remind our brothers, while we have Brother Ramsey and our guests and folks who are watching us, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the question box and put them in the comments, and we'll ask Brother Ramsey as many questions as possible. As we here we go, Brother Davis Pankey. How do we give to the Sickle Cell Foundation? Can we share with brothers?
Brother Pankey, I appreciate you so much. I promise you, this was not a shameless plug to try to gather some money together. Here's the thing about it. I've got a couple of different ways, right? When you're dealing with the foundation, the reason I deemed it as a foundation first is I didn't want to be in a situation where I was kind of getting public funds. I wanted this to be something where I could have freedom with kind of how I wanted the money to be allocated to different groups. Now, aside from that, I'm creating a nonprofit right now. Obviously, with COVID, some things have slowed down with the federal government regarding getting status as a 501c3. So I will have ways for you to give, Brother Pankey. I do appreciate you. If you could share your information, I'd be happy to speak with you offline to let you know kind of what we're doing, what our cause is, because certainly, as I've said before, I want you to understand, just like I want to understand and do my own research about different organizations before I get my money. So I want you to understand, Brother Pankey, where this goal is, where we're headed with this, so you can feel comfortable with that. And then, of course, the fact that it's going to be tax deductible is just yet another, benefit that hopefully will help you in the long run.
Very well said, my brother. Now, I do want to ask you something, Brother Ramsey. When we talk about values, right? Most folks may not understand what values, ethics, morals, etc. But values, a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So what values do you hold most dear, Brother Ramsey?
It's also a tough one. A lot of values. Growing up in the Caribbean culture, you learn to be authentic. A lot of people play authentic. A lot of people show authentic. It's another thing to just be authentic. And being authentic doesn't really require you to be somebody that you're not, right? Being authentic requires you to be who you are. But then having the substance that people want to support you and people want to be, with you, and people want to move with you, just like Alpha is, people want to move like-minded because we're authentic people first. Then, I think everything kind of comes from there. What I will say Alpha has taught me, other than being authentic, is just have substance. Don't just go around here and wear your letters just to say that you're a part of something. I think people need to know that you're a part of something simply by the way you move, simply by the things that you represent, and by the people that are surrounded by you and with you.
Thank you, Brother Ramsey. And I definitely echo your sentiments there. As a man of action, you are both an attorney and a philanthropist. So we know you are active. You are definitely an Alpha in action. And I definitely want to speak for the young brothers out there that are looking on TV and seeing what's happening now and want to definitely get active. And definitely want to make a difference in this world, right? Not just post on social media, but they actually want to get out there and make tangible change. So what advice would you give someone or a brother who wants to make a difference in this world?
Well, You've got talent, man, especially if you're an alpha brother, right? You have talent. Bring your talent to the table, man. There is something that you brought to your chapter. Bring it nationally. And understand also, any little thing that you can give makes a difference. If you give $1, okay, yeah, it's just $1, right? But if you get 1,000 brothers to give $1, then you got $1,000. You can do some things with that. It's surprising that people think that little that they give doesn't affect anything. But Rome wasn't built in a day. I mean, it was block by block. So be the block. Bring another block and another block. All right, and then instead of trying to see something change in a week, look at it over the course of a year, right? Because great things don't take time to build. You're not going to get to your end result in a week. You're not going to get to end result in a year a lot of times. So, if you want to give $1, give $1. If you want to give $19.06, give $19.06. And of course, bring your talent, bring what you can, bring your time to the frat, and let's kind of work together to see how best you can affect change, so you could feel that you've done something at the end of the day. As Brother Paul has said, and Brother Paul will continue to say, I am my brother's keeper. So if you believe that you need some direction, young brothers, then come to the other brothers and ask other brothers, how can I help? Because you may not have the ideas, but you certainly have the talent. You may not have the money, but you certainly have the time. And other brothers that don't have the time will have the money. So it's just a matter of us putting things together to get everything together so we can again, affect change and move forward.
Extremely powerful, brother. I mean, extremely powerful. What you basically told brothers was, look, if you don't have time, give your talent. If you don't have talent, give your treasure. If you ain't got treasure, give your time and your talent. Either way, just give back. And that's extremely powerful, Brother Ramsey. There's this African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Have you heard about that, African? Have you heard that before?
I have, but I haven't heard it in quite some time. So I'm gonna have to put that back in my memory bank.
It's so important, right? I mean, I think about that often, even within the fraternity, as I think about, I can do a lot by myself, but I can't do it all alone, right?
Right.
And if you want to go fast, sure, go alone. But if you want to go far, you have to bring other people together. And speaking of that, what legacy do you want to have, Brother Ramsey? Like when you, at the end of the day, what legacy do you want to leave behind? And can you finish it alone? I think we might have answered that. but what legacy do you want to have, Brother Ramsey?
Well, this year, I think for everyone, it's caused everyone to kind of sit back and at their life and say, what they thought their legacy was going to be before may be different now, right? I think for me personally, I was admittedly, though I'm involved in different things that the frat would do, I was admittedly not involved financially. And then I said, you know what, if I'm going to leave a legacy, I need to go ahead and be involved with everything. So I made sure that I was financial with the organization, because Alpha has given me so much that, being a life member was easy for me. So it wasn't a situation where I said, okay, I'm going to give this a little here, a little that. No, I said, you know what, I'm going to go all in. And I'm happy to say that I'm a life member, and I will continue to do what I need to do for the frat. But again, it's kind of the rhetoric that we've been talking about. You can't do these things alone. Nobody can. Anybody who's any head of any organization, every corporation that you or I may deem successful, they didn't go in there with their idea alone and said, I'm going to do this all by themselves. Certainly, if anybody tried to do it, then they didn't live to see the reaps of the benefits of kind of what they have sowed. You need to surround yourself with people who you trust. You need to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, people who move the same way. Because if 2 or 3 different people are moving in different directions, you're essentially pulling from each other rather than grouping with each other. And I think that's what a lot of young brothers are doing, unfortunately, is I'm seeing a lot of things where a lot of guys have great ideas, right? But the problem is you're pulling from your own resources, and you're pulling from somebody else's resources to do it. There are enough resources out here. There are enough brothers to do it. I think what we need to do is take the time to find the proper resources and share. I think that's the problem with a lot of our youth is they feel like if they find information, they have to keep it for themselves and they have to capitalize on that. And I understand that. I get that. But you've got to share. You've got to share the information with each other so we can go ahead and get to the next step. If you don't share, then what you're leaving is you're leaving somebody else to go ahead and try to figure it out on their own. And the problem is they'll look at the wrong places and the wrong resources, thinking that's where they need to go. Listen, if you figured this whole thing out, if you've created this wheel already, then instead of trying to create a new wheel, just jump on somebody else's wheel. I promise you, we'll both go far. I promise you, we'll both get there. We'll both, get everything done that we want to get done individually. But my goodness, when you look back and see how far we can go if we just work together, I mean, you will be amazed. And I'm excited at the opportunity to work together with the fraternity. I'm excited to put my money where my mouth is. I'm excited that I'm back in the fold, and I hope young brothers can be excited as well.
And Brother Ramsey, we're actually excited to have you back in the fold and back in the house. You did mention Life membership. We thank you for being a Life member of our organization. And we're talking about kind of moving together and really leaving something, as they say, kind of paying it forward, right, for the next generation.
Yes.
Kind of get going there. And earlier in the conversation, we spoke about gifts, and you talked about how you have not yet really given your best gift as of yet, right? Because I think a lot of people confuse gifts as just money, right? Just handing out money. But really, with your gift, especially with this fraternity, you can really create something. You can create a program, create an initiative, create a foundation that can really help to serve underserved populations and also the other populations that we serve.
And I think it's, gift is such, it has different connotations, right? If you use the word gift, but if you use the word pledge, or commitment, then you're looking, then that means you're kind of pooled together, right? You're working together for something when you pledge something or you commit to something. You don't hear, LeBron didn't say, I'm going to gift my talents to Miami,
Yes, sir.
But that's the thing is, I understand what you mean. I completely get it. But I think people need to, because I've said everything regarding, being committed to something and having a passion about something. I think gift, is probably not the word I'd use. I think I would say your commitment, your pledge, because that's really what this is either you're pledging your money, your time, and that's the thing is, a gift, you kind of write your check and you move on, or a gift is like, hey, I'll show up this weekend for a community service event, then I'll move on because I've given my gift, right? No. When you've decided that you're pledging to something, that means you're there for the long haul. That means you're there until the job is done.
And I think and thank you for bringing that out into the light. And that goes into our next question here, which is perfect as far as that legacy, right? Whenever you're giving a pledge over a long period of time, for brothers that are looking to really create that legacy, you yourself are a Life member. We have Life members that are interested in really continuing that investment, not only in Alpha, but really working with Alpha to make change inside of the community. What would you advise as a step one, as far as getting to that legacy moment?
The legacy? Oh man, working on your legacy is an everyday thing. It is an everyday thing, whether, you have children and your children are watching you, right? You're trying to build your legacy through their eyes, right? If you've got business partners and you're trying to build a conglomerate over time, everyone from the secretary to the maintenance man is watching how you move. So your legacy is an everyday thing. Your legacy is not something you just write down and say, this is my legacy, right? A lot of companies have mission statements or legacy statements. But it has to be a system of your belief. It has to be a system of your compassion. It has to be a system of kind of, where you want to go. So, remember, brothers, your legacy starts with you. It starts when you wake up in the morning, and starts how you want to present yourself to everybody that's watching, because believe you me, everybody is watching you at some point. Some of the biggest business dealings I've had was not because of what people thought I may have, but what they saw when I wasn't trying to be anybody else, right? When they saw the consistency of who you are and the consistency of how you present yourself, then they believe in you. and people who want to believe in you, they go ahead and believe in your beliefs, right? They support you the same way you want to support them. So I'm a firm believer of again, being authentic, being genuine, because if nobody can believe you are who you are, then certainly nobody's going to support you with their hard-earned money. And nobody's going to support you with kind of, the things that they want to do. Because remember, if somebody teams with you, then they are you and you are them, right? So if something comes up, especially with social media nowadays, something comes up that is contrary to what you hold yourself out to be, it's going to be held against you, and it's going to be held against your partners. So, I am very careful with the way I move, because I'm not going to bring any negative light on Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Anything that I have in terms of, my legacy started with Alpha, in terms of who I didn't know anything about anything when I pledged. And, brothers like Brother Joe Paul, brothers like Brother Cecil Howard, brothers that I've seen who have done great things, I have to understand I don't want to let them down. And I have to understand that my legacy is every day what I build. So young brothers, if you're thinking, how do I, build my legacy, certainly be financial with the organization. I used to hear that all the time. And I was like, well, I mean, that's, how does that go? It makes a difference. Be financial with your organization, because it shows that you can commit to something. It shows that you can still put money aside and you can still do things that you need to do. You may not eat, 2 steaks a day. You can just have 1 steak a day. But the rest of it, you're giving to an organization that can actually affect change in Alpha Phi Alpha, and the men behind Alpha Phi Alpha, and the women in the organization of Alpha Phi Alpha, right, that work at national headquarters or different regional offices. They have great ideas and they can affect change. So build your legacy day by day. Commit yourself to something that makes a difference with you personally and with your community.
Now, Brother Ramsey, I have to repeat this for the people in the back, because I don't know if they heard what you said. You said 2 key important pieces there. One was authenticity and the importance of knowing who you are and why you give and why you connect, etc. The other thing you said was move like the G in lasagna. One of our incredible black one of our black philosophers, Lil Wayne, actually made that up. He said, "Move like the G in lasagna." That G is silent. You have to move in silence, and no one masters both of those than you, brother. I mean, you're extremely authentic, and the amazing thing is, I'm not making it up. There are people who are watching right now who's like, "Wow, this brother's real," right? That's number one. So authenticity is extremely key to giving back and philanthropy and actually connecting to sources. The other thing is, move like the G in lasagna. No, people don't have to know your moves. They don't have to know your moves. And you're one of the donors who, how when you log on and they're like, "Would you like to remain anonymous?" You usually click on anonymous.
I try to move different, man. I mean, I don't, I have enough friends. I have enough brothers. I've got enough family. I don't just need attention. What I need is to be a part of the solution, right? And I think that's a problem. A lot of people want to be a part of the solution if the attention is there. But if the attention isn't there, then all of a sudden they're a little bit slower in the movement. I mean, but that's when movement happens. Movement happens when the attention isn't there, right? Because certainly your opponent, or certainly anybody who doesn't believe in the system that you believe in, they're moving when no one pays attention, right? They're doing things that are going to ultimately affect you negatively when nobody is paying attention. It's easy to give money when that's the hot thing right now. It's easy to give to whether it's Black Lives Matter or based off of what's going on in each and every community in this country. It's easy. But when things slow down, when things are a little bit quieter, right? What are you doing at that point? Are you laying back and are you quiet at that time? Because if you are, your opponent isn't. They're doing everything that they need to do to keep you where you need to be, right? So you have to always move. That is also a part of your legacy is not tiring, okay? Not moving on to the next thing when everybody else does. It's okay to stay in a place by yourself and continue to do what you need to do. It's okay, because I guarantee you folks will be back. They'll come back And then when they come back, oh my goodness, you will be ready, and you will be ready to lead instead of follow.
Brother Ramsey, I mean, look, you said it best. One of the things I want to point out is you talked about integrity, and the integrity is basically doing what you would normally do, even if no one's watching. It's so important to give back and not care about the fame or the whatever comes without it. You're giving back because you're connected to the cause. So thank you so much for sharing that. I want to ask you this, and we have a few more questions before we bring in our general president.
Sure.
And folks, if you have any questions for our dear brother Andre Ramsey, please put them in the comments, and we'll get to as many as time allows. So, Brother Ramsey, really quickly, are there any particular programs or areas that interest you? I know we talked about sickle cell anemia earlier, and obviously that's one of your top of the list in terms of. I know. So, is there anything else that makes that top 5 list or the top 3 list?
Oh man, there's so much. So all right, first thing, another thing that comes to mind, I guess, obviously, is whatever Alpha tells me we need to do. Right, that's the first thing. And I listen to my brother COO, my brother General President, and some other highly influential brothers that are doing different things. Another thing I would love to do, and I think is a long-term thing for me, is I'd love to build some medical facilities in my home country of Jamaica. There are people that aren't getting medicine. There are people that aren't getting treatment that they need simply because they can't afford it. There are doctors that need to be trained on new ages of medicine. Unfortunately, they have old medicine. They've got old technology, and they need all these things updated to go ahead and affect change there. So there are some things there. I think, Brother Paul, what I'm doing, there are 2 other things that come to mind, but what I find myself doing lately is listening. I think it's important to sit and be silent and listen. Listen to your community, listen to your country, listen to your people, listen to your church. Listen, because there's so many different things that you can do in order to try to, put some money towards some things, or, go help somebody, go help build a roof, go help, clean out somebody's home, go help, feed a family, go do some grocery shopping for some people. I think what this country needs right now is this grassroots approach and helping people one day at a time, and the smaller things that nobody's paying attention to. So what I find myself doing, like I said, brother, is I'm listening. My ears are open, because not only am I in a position to try to help, but I know a lot of people who are in positions that are trying to help, and they're just waiting for the right thing to show up. So if you have causes, if you're listening to this today, and you have causes that need financial support, you need causes that need folks to throw their name behind it. We've got some celebrities, we've got some good folks in here that can really do some things, but they just don't know what it is they want to do. They don't know how to do it, So it's like I've said before, the people who have the money may not have the time. The people who have the talent may not have the money. So let's find a way to kind of get everybody together, get us in the right meeting space that we can actually get these things together and move forward.
Fantastic, my brother. I mean, it's funny. You and I sit on several boards, and one of the boards I sit on, we were wondering there was one gentleman who was very wealthy, and we were trying to figure out, how do we get to him? Like, how do we get him to write checks to the nonprofit that we're sitting on the board? And I was like, hey, I'll do it. And so when I went to him, we had a meeting, we had lunch. It was amazing. He wrote us a check for $1 million. Now, I said, here's my question to him. I was like, well, you've known about this nonprofit for 15 years now. Like,
right.
Why has it taken this long to give back? He
right.
said, you know what, Joe, to be honest with you, no one's ever asked me. You're the first person to ask me. That's why I'm giving back. How true is that, Brother Ramsey? Is it one of those things where if people don't ask, I mean, do people expect philanthropists to just give, or how much of the onus is it on the actual person to ask?
My goodness, man. That's such a great question. And I think it's absolutely true. I think there are people who they feel like the right opportunity will present itself, right? So like I said before, I'm listening. And not only am I listening to everything that's going on in terms of who needs it, but I'm listening and waiting for the right approach, right? Because certainly, if it's a cause that requires $5 million, your $100,000 pledge may not be the pledge that you want to submit it to, right? It just depends on kind of what this person is donating is looking for, right? Some people want to be a part of things, but some people want to be the only person that does the thing, right? So that 100,000 they may feel is better suited for a program that requires a $250,000 pledge, because then they feel like, all right, we're almost 50% there if I do this. You know what I mean? Versus if you're doing a $5 million pledge, you're not even 5% there, right? So it's just, it's not 25% there. But the thing is, everybody is different, and everybody that's willing to do something financially are looking not only for the right causes, but they're also looking for the right people, right? Brother Paul, if I went to that same donor, I may not get that check. I may not be the right person for that donor, right? You were that right person for that donor at that point in time, right? So it's not just a situation where one person needs to approach this person and that's it. No, there are different ways to approach any scenario, right? And depending on your approach and depending on who you are, if the person genuinely likes you and genuinely believes in your passion, that goes a long way. It goes a long way, because a lot of times people who are in positions to donate, they're looking for like-minded people. And what's crazy is they're looking for people that they used to be, right? At that age, you remind them a lot of them. This is who I was at this age. Just, this person has a lot of passion. They remind me of me. Guess what? They want to fund themselves, so they're going to fund you if they believe in you. They're going to fund you if they believe in the cause, because, like anything, they're getting approached left and right by some people with all these, great ideas. Oh, you're going to make your money this way. You're going to make your money that way, but that's not kind of what we're looking for. Certainly, if you're able to pledge $1 million to something, money's not an issue for you. So you're not necessarily looking for a way to make money. Now, you may be looking for a tax deduction. That may be something that's a benefit. Let's be real. But you're not looking for a quick money, making back scheme. You're looking to make sure that, hey, if I put this money into this, it's not something that's, BS. And let's be real. That's really what it comes down to. So if I'm looking for if somebody approaches me with the situation, the first thing I always want to do is, I don't necessarily want to talk about money the first time I meet you. The first time I meet you, I'm really there to talk to you and find out about you and find out about what's important to you. And then we'll get to a point where if we're like-minded, if we're looking for the same thing, then we can talk about money and say, okay, well, what can we do to make change?
Extremely powerful. You have no idea, Brother Ramsey. You're teaching a lot of people on both sides. You're teaching philanthropists who want to give back, and you're teaching folks who actually want philanthropists to assist them. We're going to take a question from the audience, and then we're going to bring up Brother Johnson to ask the final question.
Okay.
You have no idea how enriching this conversation is.
Oh, goodness. Brother Johnson's going to ask me a question.
Brother Johnson's going to, and then we're going to bring up General President, because he's going to have something to add to this conversation.
I know that.
So Brother Marvin Duperton asks, what's the best advice you would give to individuals who have multiple practices or professions, such as yourself?
Multiple ways to skin a cat. There are different paths to get to where you want to go. I think putting all your chickens in one basket is, it's an archaic way of doing things. I think you need to go ahead and invest in yourself and your profession in multiple facets. But I think you also need to, be understanding that, people are watching you in the way you move. So the way you move in one program or in one profession needs to be similar to the way you move in something else, because, it's all about who you are as one package, right? So if you're 100% in on saying, say you have a tie company and you're making ties and you're 100% invested in your tie company, right? But then your shoe company, you're kind of half, in and out. People are paying attention to that. So understand, if you're going to put yourself out there as somebody who's going to grind, then it doesn't matter what the situation is. You're going to grind on the situation, on everything that you do. So that's why I say it brings up the level of authenticity. It brings up the level of how you do things. And you know, and I think ultimately, if everybody did things the same way, I think the companies that are surviving this coronavirus time are the people who are willing to adjust, the people who are willing to go beyond what they've done in the past to be successful. So, you know, young brothers out there who are doing different things, invest in yourself. Find ways that you can invest in your companies, your separate companies. Understand that, you know, burnout is a real thing. So don't burn yourself out trying to be everything in every facet. No one can do that. Surround yourself with people who can help you do that, because ultimately, if you bring people with you, then the more people you can affect, the more people you could change.
Thank you so much for that, Brother Ramsey. Yes, you've been, as I can speak for everyone in the comments, you have been dropping jewels this entire conversation. The multi-generational jewels.
Listen, if I told you, I can't sit up here and say, you know, share information if I'm not sharing myself, right? Yeah. So, you know, what I realized about myself, Brother Johnson, I know you're about to ask a question, is I never realized how calculating I am. It doesn't, you know, it just happens, and people kind of tell me. I don't do it calculating in terms of an, you know, evil way or negative connotation, but it's just a matter of, you know, think about the way you move and think about the way you want to present to yourself, and think about how can this benefit the causes that I'm looking for to benefit. You know, am I going to reach the right audience? That kind of stuff.
Thank you, there, brother. And we've actually got a question from the audience here, Brother Clem Harold, who wants to say, do you suggest you put a dollar amount on the gift pledge you are requesting?
Yeah, I do. I think you personally come up with, you know, you look at your financial situation, right? And you look at two things. You look at, well, how much do I want to give? And then the second thing you look at is, what frequency do I want to give, right? If you've decided, okay, I want to give $1,000 over the course of, you know, $1,000. Then the next step is, well, how do I want to give it? Do I want to give it over the course of a month? Do I want to give it over the course of a week? Do I want to give it over the course of a day? You know, so there are a lot of information. I think that's the thing is, if you look at it one way and say, I really want to give $2,000, but goodness gracious, it's $2,000. I want to give, you know, that's a lot of money. You know, you're right. So, you know, parse it out. You know, it can be done. It's the old age, you know, question, or you know, how we all grew up, where you threw a penny in the bucket, right? And then over the course of a year, you look at the bucket, you need another bucket. You know, you fill it up, right? You don't pay attention to the little stuff. You know, it becomes a habit. So what I think is important, Brother Harad, and I appreciate your question, is to determine first how much you want to give, then the frequency, and then commend it to be a habit, or commit it to be a habit, that you support that cause, that you do what you need to do, and that you stay within it. It's very similar to how you give it, and most people give in their church, right? They say they're going to pledge. There's that word again, not gift. They're going to pledge to their church a certain amount of money. And, you know, they may look at the end of the year and say, oh man, I'm a little short at the end of the year. The reason you are is because you didn't commit yourself to the habit of doing what you need to do. So, and it happens. It's nothing bad if you fall off. Things happen in life. You know, Corona happened. Hell, you know, what you decided to give at the beginning of the year has changed things. But, you know, look at your family. Certainly do not put your family or yourself in a worse paid situation financially, because everybody's going through something. But make sure you take care of your family first. Take care of yourself and your family first. It's one of those things, right? If a plane is going down, during the instructions, a flight attendant tells you if loss of cabin pressure, they always tell you to put the mask on your face first before helping somebody else. So I think that's kind of where we are, is, you know, make sure you've got your air, right? Don't cut your air supply. And then after you've got your air, you've secured your air, go ahead and make sure you help everybody else. Don't just sit back there and just watch everybody not get any air, just pass out. So yeah, that's the way I'd approach it.
That's fantastic, Brother Ramsey. Thank you so much for everything. I think we're bringing back Brother Paul now as well for a transition here. But if not, we have one more. I have one more question, actually. I think it'd be a good closing question. Okay. Kind of more so about the times that we're in now. COVID-19 came out of nowhere, and it's really reshaped society, right? We're calling this a new normal, because we're really not sure what we're going to get out of this. So when you think about the future, right, of philanthropy and of giving, what is your greatest hope moving forward?
My greatest hope, it's funny you use that word. My greatest hope is not to lose hope. That's my greatest hope. My greatest hope is not to lose hope in humanity. My greatest hope is not to lose hope in our Black communities. My greatest hope is that we will continue to strive and lock arms together. My greatest hope is that we will work together. My greatest hope that nobody is hungry. My greatest hope that nobody can't seek the medical attention they need simply because they can't afford it. This coronavirus thing is so different. It's not something we've seen before, but it doesn't mean we can't do what we need to get on the other side of this. I truly believe that with the right leadership, truly believe with the right morals, it's a big word, with the right morals, the right plan, that we can get where we need to be. So, and my hope at the end of the day is that I am in some way, some platform, some way beneficial to anybody that needs help, and I'm in a position where I can provide that help.
Thank you, Brother Ramsey.
Brother Ramsey, I can't begin to tell you how much value you've added to our conversation this evening. It is my personal privilege to introduce to the conversation our General President, Brother Dr. Everett B. Ward.
I'm certainly not worthy, but I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Brother Paul, Brother Ramsey, and Brother Johnson. Brother Ramsey, I want to share something with you, and I so greatly appreciate the old gold and black words of wisdoms that you have shared tonight. And in the spirit of genuine authenticity, this morning I was reading my history book, my Alpha history book. I was reading about the presidency of Brother Belford Lawson, who, like you, was a successful attorney, but like you, he knew that there was a need for us to always be giving back. And
Yes.
During his general presidency, he emphasized that we have to always give back. And I just want to thank you for being who you are and for sharing the words that you have. As people have said, you have lived before, my brother, because your wisdom is beyond your years on this earth. And I just want to thank you. But there are a couple of things that I want to ask you about. You talked about legacy and how when you wake up in the morning, your legacy is something that should be on your mind, and there should be a consistency in your legacy. Tell me how you arrive and recognize and then accept your authenticity, because that is something that really is a journey that you have to go through to arrive at the point that I'm good with who I am, and I'm satisfied who I am as a Black man in my skin in a nation that usually devalues or wants me to take a subservient second-class citizenship. But I arrived at this point that I'm comfortable in being who I am. And with that authenticity, then I'm positioned to help others. Talk about how you recognize and then accept that authenticity.
Well, let me say this, brother President. I think that is an ongoing thing. I think, understanding your authenticity is one thing, but then continuously being that person is another. I think the first thing for me is realizing my worth and my value to me. Because if you don't set your own worth and your own value, somebody else will set it for you. And when they set your value and your how much you're worth and your worth, then you're going to be very disappointed with the levels that people set on you. And then now, unfortunately, people start adopting that level of value that somebody else has put on you. And when you're in that type of situation, and it's going to be hard to get up out of that, right? So I think every young Black man needs to first understand their value to themselves, their value to their children, their value to their families, and their value to their communities. I think there's so many different levels of value. So once you got those levels of value, I think then the way you move beyond that is you have a base, right? You've built your own base to where you now know no matter what anybody says or no matter what anybody does, I know where my value is, right? And then the people that you surround yourself with will also recognize your value, and support your value, and they'll actually add to your value. And when you get to a level where you're surrounding yourself, and I've been blessed with fraternity brothers, I've been blessed with family, when people start adding to your value, and I'm not talking about with a plus, but with a multiply, right? Then it gets to a level where you believe you can accomplish anything. So the young brothers out there that are struggling, especially during this time, with what they see on the news, what they see, outside their windows, understand that what you see outside your window, what you see on the news is not your value. You set your value, you set your core, and you're able to then go beyond that. So when I realized that, my brother, that took me to the next step to where now I can say, okay, I understand my value is, and I also understand I'm living in increase, not decrease. And once I'm living in increase, then that makes things so much easier for me because I know it only gets better.
I see a T-shirt that says "I'm living in my increase." That's something we have to tell ourselves every day, 24/7, because
Agreed.
you have to speak positive energy to yourself before you can give positive energy to others.
Yes, and anybody you speak to, whether it's the maintenance man in your building or the CEO of your company, they see it. They see, what you're living in every day. They see, the excitement that you have about, facing life every day and being a part of something greater than yourself. They feed off that energy. I'm telling you, man, I fed off other people's energy. It rises me to another level. And I hope that I'm sharing my energy with somebody else so they could take it to the next level. So that's the thing. Energy is a big word for me. So I agree with you, brother. I do.
There's no question you're sharing your energy, my brother. I've derived some energy from you tonight that's going to sustain me for a long time. You said something also that I think is so important. You talked about wanting to go back to Jamaica.
Yes, sir.
And you talked about opening a medical facility. Talk
Yes,
with us about how important it is for us philanthropically to give back to our own community and to preserve those institutions that are unique to the African American community, to the Caribbean community, that we must sustain for future generations.
Right. Well, you are who your community, helped you be, right? Everyone says the old adage that, it takes a village to raise children, right? Well, the reason that is because the village influences who you are as you're growing up, right? You take parts of what you see as you grow up. And when you take parts of those things, those are the things that mold you who you are, apart from your family, apart from any other outside influences, you're looking around what's closest to you in your community. So, I am a product of hardworking Jamaican families, right? And so it's important for me not to just get to my level of success and just stay there and not share, and it's as much as I want to give to, other things that may not, be supported by people that look like us, but I have to start where it started for me, and brothers have to start where it started for them. You have to realize that your community requires it of you, right? And it's not a gift that you give back. It's a pledge, and it should be an honor for you to go back and build in your community because your community needs it. And there's somebody in that community that was just like you at that age that need people to look to, that need people to pull from, that need people to say, you know, I can do this too. And I think that was a big thing regarding when Barack Obama became president. Then people saw things that were, you know, accessible that they didn't think were accessible before. So you be that person too. You be their Barack, right? Where you go back to your community and they look at you and they say, you know what? I can do this too. I didn't know this was accessible before. I didn't know that's something that can be done. And you take that and you go back. But it's, you know, understand though this, not everybody can be helped. I don't want you to go into your community and feel like you're going to be able to help everybody. You can't help everybody, but you can help somebody, right? And let it be one person, then let it be two, let it be three, let it be four, let it grow from that. I think a lot of people who are donating or going back to their communities, they get frustrated when they don't believe they can help everybody at the same time. They think it's too much. It requires too much of me. You know, these people don't want help, this and that. No, that's not it. Again, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Take it a block by a time. Take it a house at a time, right? Take it a young kid at a time. Make the difference, because certainly some of the brightest individuals and some of the smartest people and the next presidents and the next leaders of our country are sitting in those communities right now. They just need someone to be the spark. You know, brother, first person I think about is, you know, King T'Challa, that unfortunately, rest in peace, just passed away. When he was a young actor, you know, the person that funded him was Denzel Washington. You know, he was one of the people that, you know, Brother Chadwick Boseman was funded by, you know, Denzel Washington, and look who he became and look at the inspiration that he is to so many children and so many people. So understand, again, like I've said before, brother, who you are needs to be authentic when you're in your community, and when you're not in your community, be the same person. But it is very, very important to give back to your community because your community needs you. And it's required of you. Think about it like that. It is required for you to give back.
I have one final question. It's related to philanthropic giving and what your vision would be that Alpha and other members of the Divine Nine could do collectively if we pull our philanthropic resources together. What would you say we should be about?
Everything and anything.
Okay.
Everything and anything. There are so many movers and shakers. There are so many, you know, business people and you know, legal minds and people that have the money to make things happen. I think the problem with us, brother, is, you know, we all have great ideas, right? And we all want to move with our great ideas. The problem then I would say is we consistently pull from somebody else's resources to get to where we need to be. It's a situation, say, hey, we're on this train. If they don't get on this train, you know, then we're just going to get to our station and hopefully they get to where they need to be. I think the problem is people don't believe that, or they think that, you know, it's just one car on this train, right? It's the Divine Nine is all on this train, right? There's a caboose on there and everything. So, you know, and realize the train doesn't split on the track. The train only goes one way, right? And if we're changing courses, all of those cars are going to follow that train, right? And the thing is, everybody wants to be in the engine. Everybody wants to be the conductor, right? Understand that we could take turns. There could be multiple conductors here. There could be, you know, multiple. You know, everybody needs somebody who's pouring the charcoal in the engine to go ahead and get you the steam that you need. You know, so don't be afraid to be a worker. I would say, understand that nothing is beneath you. I think that's a biggest thing too. Is some people think, well, if I'm giving the money, the effort is beneath me. It's not. You can affect change in so many different ways. Find a way to work with your brother, work with your sister, the way it's supposed to be. Let's get back to the normal stuff, the grassroots stuff of working together to get to a common goal.
Brother Ramsey, thank you so much. I have truly gained from your words of wisdom tonight, your in-depth commitment to not only philanthropy, but what came through for me was your love for humanity and your love for our community and our people. And for that, on behalf of our brotherhood worldwide, we say thank you. And as your general president, it's an honor to call you my brother.
Brother, I just hope to make the Jewels proud. I just hope to make my line brothers proud because they hold me accountable. And I'm hoping to make my children proud because that's my legacy. And understand that, you know, I'm not done and Alpha isn't done. We have a lot of stuff to do. We got a lot of work to do.
Here, here. Thank you, my brother. Brother Paul, Brother Johnson, thank you for your leadership. This was an exceptional evening.
Brother President, this is just the beginning. I tell you, you know, we're just so blessed. I tell you, under your leadership, Brother President, the credit really goes to you because there haven't been too many presidents, too many people in general who can highlight the breadth of our organization. I mean, this is part of your vision, Brother President. You wanted to make sure that we highlight young, old, left, right, up, down, Republican, Democrat, you name it. Brothers, you know, everybody needs to know the depth of our organization, and we're just so proud. So thank you for your leadership, Brother President.
Thank you. As Brother Ramsey says, it's not over. We just on chapter number 12.
Not over. Well, one of the benefits of becoming a life member at this during your presidency is that you signed my certificate. So you know I got that. So I'm good now.
Good. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, Brother President. Thank you, Brother Ramsey. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited. I mean, you heard the first part of the conversation where we had Brother Ramsey come up and share some tidbits and just strategy, right, Brother Johnson? I mean, everything that Brother Ramsey shared and Brother President, that whole dialogue was pretty dynamic, wouldn't you say?
I would definitely say so as well, brother. As I was saying earlier, he was dropping jewels that was multi-generational, from the young brothers to our older brothers here. I think everyone learned a lot from this conversation this evening. Completely
agree. So, folks, we are going to spend the balance of our time talking about the Give Six campaign. Now, what's interesting about the Give Six campaign is none of this is new. However, this is simply supplemental. Our goal is to make sure that we have tons of national programs, etc. With the Give Six campaign, we want to bring brothers who want to give and brothers who need help, brothers who want to give, organizations who need help. We want to marry the two. And so we've crystallized some of our efforts, and we're asking brothers to give back. This is simply what we're talking about. So a lot of this, to our brothers especially, it may look familiar, and it should. The entire idea is to make sure that brothers give back. Brother Johnson, anything to add to that before we start talking about the Give Six campaign?
Brother Paul, I think you started us off right. They're going to be hearing my voice for a lot here, so I'll save my words for just a moment. Let me know when you're ready to get it started.
Let's rock and roll. We're going to get the presentation started really quickly. Brothers, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Brother Ramsey. We're going to get our presentation started in a couple of seconds. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. Again, thank you so much, Brother Ramsey, for all of your help. We will get started with the Give Six campaign during House of Alpha Week. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so excited that you're here. As I mentioned before, a lot of this will seem repetitive to our brothers, but to the public, this will be new. But all we're doing is solidifying and putting together some best practices that will allow our brothers to give back to our national program. So the Give Six campaign, the Chief Development Officer is none other than Brother Gerald K. Johnson II. And we're both going to walk through this, and it should take a few moments, and then we will wrap up our conversation, and you will have the balance of your evening back. So, Brother Johnson, if you could please get us kicked off, and we'll tag team this thing.
There we go, Brother Paul. Again, thank you for your time together, brother. I want to thank all the brothers for joining us this evening, family, friends as well, and as well as our supporters alike for joining us for this conversation tonight. We're excited to launch our Give Six campaign, which will support our fraternity, which not only support our fraternity, it will support the organization and really look to expand our philanthropic footprint in coordination with our national programs and initiatives. So to just really quickly dive right into things, the mission of this initiative, of this campaign here, is really to provide financial assistance to not only our college brothers in need, but also to support our education and developmental activities that go on year round, especially in times such as these today with COVID-19. We have the country is currently in social unrest. We feel it is important for us to package together our influences and to gain support all together. As it says, our donations will go to further our economic and charitable agenda, and then to enhance the institution as well as the lives of the communities that we definitely serve here. So we've had a chance to break these different communities and different target areas down into 6 target areas. And Brother Paul, would you like to kick us off with the first one here?
I most certainly will. Brother Johnson, it's important, I think, for our brothers and friends and people who love Alpha to know where this thing came from. We were sitting around as a chief development officer. I remember we were sitting in your office and you were thinking, okay, what can we do to help brothers give back? Like, what can we do? And the Give 6 campaign was born. So one of the 6 tenets for the Give 6 campaign is emergency needs-based grants. We all know that everyone has needs, especially in the age of COVID-19. Unemployment is up, right? Food banks are packed to the brim. We know that there are some needs-based grants that brothers will need, and the Give 6 campaign will collect donations to provide that financial assistance to our college brothers who are in need, right? And the key there is college brothers, right? We want to make sure that, and I know this is true for me, and it may be true for some of our folks who are listening. I tell you, graduating from college was easy until they gave me that final bill before I could cross that stage, Brother Johnson. And so we want to make sure that we support our brothers, not just to pay, just random things, but it's to pay tuition and to make sure that we help them with these emergency needs-based grants. So that's one of the tenets of the Give 6 campaign. Brother Johnson, you have the next one.
Thank you, brother. Definitely want to follow up on that. Definitely was something that we spoke about as far as how can we find a way to ensure that our brothers are investing in our organization, because brothers do want to invest. We get calls all day. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Black youth programs and our ability to really invest in our Go to High School, Go to College program, our Project Alpha as well, and really look to further expand these here. We're excited to be gathering donations and working with a plethora of partners that really want to reach back to our brothers and also to the K-12 community as well. With our programs that are currently active, as Brother President said earlier, as well as Brother Paul said, we're really looking to package what we're currently already doing as a fraternity to make it ampliable for the next stages forward here.
Fantastic. Black youth programs, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, scholarships. Now you understand it's part of our mission, it's part of our vision, it's part of our values, scholarships, academic excellence. The goal for us is to make sure that we can support brothers. We want to develop that scholarship program that helps brothers gain access to education. Right? We have so many brothers who are in so many universities. We have over 700 chapters with tons of brothers all over the place. Our goal is to make sure that we can support these brothers. We all know, and obviously in order for you to be an Alpha, you have to be college educated, right? And you have to have a college degree, right? And so what that means is we know the importance of scholarship. And our goal is to make sure that we can redirect some of those resources from here to the brothers who actually need it. And so this Give 6 campaign will support our scholarships. As I mentioned earlier, none of this is new. It's just solidified. We've actually put it into a package where you can it's digestible, it's palatable, and you're also clear about why we give and who we're giving it to. So scholarships is one of the pinnacle pieces for the Give 6 campaign. Brother Johnson?
Thank you there, Brother Paul. I think you said that eloquently. And I'm really excited about this next thing here, and that's Alpha STEM Initiative, really looking to expand our footprint within the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, especially in today. We'll be actually joined by an employee of NASA in tomorrow's interview, if you haven't heard of it already, called Everyday Alpha. So please feel free to step in there. But really, we're looking to expand our footprint as far as our ability to create new initiatives, create new partnerships as well, and also maybe to even add new components to our national programs that really highlight these specific areas for the communities that we serve. So we're really excited about branching out and really furthering our investment within this area. Brother Paul?
That's STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Absolutely. Senior Brothers Affairs. Now, brothers, you know about Brothers Keeper, right? And we know the question, am I my brother's keeper? If you're an Alpha, the answer is absolutely yes. And so this Senior Brothers Affairs, this Brothers Keepers campaign is basically to help us support our senior brothers. We know unequivocally that COVID-19 has been affecting our senior brothers, has been affecting seniors in the community, and seniors who typically would have a chance to go out and go for walks, etc. They're kind of restricted. They can't go to certain places. Our goal through the Gift Six campaign, one of the tenets is to support our seniors. I want to give a special shout out to Brother Dr. Gene Kloniaxius, who is with the AARP, who's been supporting our fraternity for a while. And this is literally in conjunction with what all of our efforts has been doing. I also want to give a special shout out to Brother Ron Pepper Peters, who is the chairman of the Brothers Keeper initiative. And so I want to stress the importance of, he is my brother. He is not heavy. No matter how old or how young he is, our Senior Brothers Affairs will look at how can we support our senior brothers? Because here's the real truth, folks. We will all be seniors one day. And one would hope that someone would look out for us like we intend to look out for our senior brothers. Brother Johnson.
Thank you, Brother Paul. I couldn't have said it better. And thank you as well, Brother Peters, for all the work that you've been doing. We're excited to be able to provide more resources to the benefit that you've been providing to our fraternity. Lastly, we are national and community programs as far as helping Alpha Alpha employees, communities, and boost the domestic initiatives across the country. More importantly, these are focused on special initiatives, not only within the Baltimore, Maryland community, where our headquarters is currently, where our corporate offices is currently located, but also within communities around the nation. As we can see, current events happen every day, and we have to be responsive as an organization. This particular tenant here really focuses on those special initiatives that will really push forth the fraternity's mission, such as currently with our voter turnout initiatives. Right now, we're looking at some really unique partnerships there, as well as our mentoring within education, really branching out and finding new pockets within communities to really make an impact. And as Brother Paul recently said, our elder care, how can we definitely reach out to our senior members of our community and create programs that definitely support them there. And with that, how can you take action today? Brother Paul, did you want to cover this here?
Yeah, you know what I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's real simple. It's real simple. We want you to take action today. This Gift Six campaign is launching right now. We have the website, apa1906.net. You click on donate, it takes you right there. You can also go through Alpha MX, and the only people who may know about Alpha MX are our dear brothers. But our goal, ladies and gentlemen, is simply to encourage our brothers to give. We heard from Brother Ramsey. We've heard from our general president. We've heard from our chief development officer. We've talked about the importance of giving back, the importance of helping those who need help. To whom much is given, brothers, so much more is required. And I remember that verse, learning it years and years ago, before I had much that was given, but I still knew that much was required. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the launch of the Gift Six campaign. I am Joe Paul, the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the greatest fraternity in the whole wide world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. On behalf of the General President, Dr. Everett B. Ward, our guest speaker for this evening, Brother Andre Carl Ramsey, extraordinary attorney, extraordinary philanthropist, our amazing Chief Development Officer. I can never tell you how hard these brothers work, Brother Gerald Johnson. And on behalf of our team at HQ and the 200,000 plus brothers around the world, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support of our dear fraternity. This is House of Alpha Week. This is day 6. We have one more day to go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for holding on for the past 6 days. Brothers, if you're out there at the sound of my voice, the House of Alpha is not the same without you in it. And that means you, my brother. We need you back in the house. Go to apa1906.net to make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your talents. And thank you so much for your treasure. I'm Joe Paul. Good night, Endo 6.